Good morning, Annapolis. Have y'all been? All right. It's good to see you all. Good to see you too. Who has no idea who I am? Raise your hand. Awesome. I will be out there during coffee hour. Come meet me, and I'd love to meet you too. My name is McCray Ely. I used to be the intern around these parts. And last September, I and my family, we moved to Salvador, Bahia, in northeast Brazil. Bahia de Todos os Santos, Bahia of all the saints. It is, as writer Jorge Amado describes it, a place that calls to you, a place that's actually difficult to like and easy to love. Bahia doesn't adjust to you, you adjust to her. Among the many adjustments I've made has been a change to my work and ministry life. It's just harder to get work down there for a lot of people, not just me. So I take what I can get. Sermon over here, event, retreat. So when I got asked to lead a meditation for a small group, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. I'll lead your meditation. There's just one issue. I don't meditate. I don't. For a UU minister, that's off-brand. I know, we're supposed to love it. But I don't. I've tried to meditate. I've done yoga. I've been to classes. I've been to more than one Buddhist temple. I have sent more than probably should emails to monks asking about finer points of meditation and Buddhist philosophy. I have asked experienced meditators both within and outside of Unitarian Universalism. And I don't think that I made it past the proverbial front gate of the meditation palace. All my meditators, that was a joke. It didn't work for me. I tried and it didn't work to me. I just frustrated myself, and then that internal negative monologue starts, and that's against the point of meditation, and so I just let it go. You know, you can do that. You can just let stuff go sometimes. Now, that's not to say that I don't have regular spiritual practice, because I do. I center, I breathe, I do a few small rituals to invite the holy into my life, but my primary spiritual practice, the center of my spirit, mind, body connection is Capoeira Angola. And the home of Capoeira is Salvador, Bahia. Now, I will not try to tell you that everything that there is about Capoeira. I will bore you. There's just too much. Be here talking all day, and we ran over last service. But what I will tell you is that Capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian style of martial arts. It's also a style of music. It is an ancestral practice with religious connections. It is a way of life, and for me and many others, Capoeira can be a kind of prayer, a way to connect our spirit with each other and that which is beyond us. So this morning, I thought I would tell you a story that comes from that world about a man named José Ramos do Nascimento, better known to the world as Mestre Traíra. In the world of Capoeira, certain masters or mestres in Brazilian Portuguese, they loom larger than life. To say their name is to invoke a history, a lineage, an indelible mark on the art of the world. There are names like Mestre Pastinha, Mestre Bimba, Mestre Valdemar. There are historical figures like Dandara dos Palmares, Besouro Mangangá, Manduca da Praia. Living legends like Mestres Moraes, João Grande, Janja, Mestre Roberval. And among this list of great masters that stretches across time and space is the name Traíra. And it could be said that of all the great masters, Mestre Traíra was the most unlikely. José Nascimento, the man who would become Mestre Traíra, was born in the town of Cachoeira, Brazil, a picturesque place on the banks of the Paraguaçu River. It was one of the first Portuguese settlements inland beyond the first capital, Salvador, Bahia. Today, Cachoeira is the site of colonial architecture so beautiful, so well preserved, that it's easy to forget that the site was once the site of 100 years of indigenous resistance to occupation from the 16th to the 17th century. And all those beautiful buildings and those cobblestone streets were paid for by an industry of brutal slavery that only ended in 1888. So, when José Nascimento was born in 1930 or 1933, he was only a generation removed from that slave economy. A brown-skinned young man of mixed black and indigenous heritage. José was poor, quiet, and had few opportunities. He also had a penchant for fighting. When he was young, he got into an altercation with another man, and only he walked away. Legend has it that José, in the wake of that disastrous fight, fled the countryside for the big city of Salvador, eventually winding up on the steps of the great Mestre Valdemar, one of the grand masters of Salvador Bahia. There he learned Capoeira Angola and became the Traíra of legend. But the thing about legends is that legends tend to leave things out. So I did my own research, and I learned two things. First, if Traíra fled Cachoeira for Salvador, he did it after serving an 11-year prison sentence. And second, and perhaps more importantly, I learned that Mestre Valdemar, his teacher, knew exactly what Traíra had done and how much time he had served in prison when he welcomed him to his academy as a student. Before we go any further with this story, and trust me, y'all, we're gonna land this plane. It is important to know one more thing about capoeira, and that is it was illegal until 1936. The idea of Black Brazilians having their own fighting art with religious overtones, it never sat well with the colonial elite. The capoeiras, as they were called, were useful as mercenaries, but they couldn't be allowed full freedom of practice. So capoeira was outlawed. Capoeira rodas, the ceremonial fighting circles of capoeira, were raided and practitioners jailed. In fact, one of the rhythms of capoeira, known as cavalaria, was created to alert practitioners of the impending arrival of the police. So you can hear what it sounds like. I said something, but exactly like that, in case you In the 19th century, that persecution intensified to the point where you're sliding value on me. There we go. So in the 19th century, that persecution continued until capoeira had been all but extinguished in Rio de Janeiro in the 19th century. And so capoeira continued in sort of dubious and secretive conditions until Mestres Bimba e Mestres Bimba e Pastinha achieved legal recognition for the art as part of Brazil's cultural heritage. Even when I say their names, they're such big figures that I get nervous. Like they're gonna walk through the door right now and say, get it right. Mestre Valdemar, Traíra's future teacher, was one of the first masters to open his academy to the public in this new legal regime. So when his academy became successful, Valdemar was old enough to remember a time when that success wasn't possible. He understood, as many of us do or should, that rights won can be taken away. Which means that when José Nascimento a poor felon with a violent conviction, showed up at Maestri Valdemar's door. He had every reason to close it, to protect himself, to protect his students, to protect his success. Instead, he looked at this quiet, Black and indigenous man and saw in him not danger, but the makings of a master. Annapolis, I have a prayer for us today, a request that we can make of the divine. Help us to perceive well. I don't mean in the ableist sense of being able to use our eyes, but the sense of true perception, unclouded by prejudice and preconceived notions that impair our ability to perceive the wonderfully flawed and divine world in front of us. Most of us don't think that we can draw because we don't really see. But the gift of the artist is the gift of true perception, to perceive accurately. And we can all learn to perceive in a truer way, just as Maestri Valdemar perceived Traíra, not just José the convict. But there's another reason beyond perception why I'm telling you this story today, and that is transformation. Can y'all say transformation? Transformation. See, Traíra, during his 11 years in prison, looked within and without himself and said, this ain't it. The life that I'm living is not a positive reflection of the divine spark inside. So he set out on a journey of what? Transformation. And on that long road, he moved away from the things that he had known and set out on the journey to Salvador. And at the end of this journey, he found himself on the doorstep of a mentor and a community that was willing not only to take him in, but to share in the belief that transformation was possible. Annapolis, I'm saying something now. Later on today, aren't we going to celebrate a kind of transformation? Yes. Mine? Yes. It's been... I got to make it through the sermon with a sheet of paper that's not wet. Come on, y'all going to make me start crying. It's been 4 years since I began the process of ministerial formation. 4 years since I listened to the voice that had been sounding alarms in my head for more than a decade. 4 years since I said, Ryan, this ain't it. This life of missions and manipulation and weapons and operations, service to nation, it's not the story of your life. It doesn't have to be. The time for those learnings is done. And to have kept on living that way would not be loyalty or patriotism, but a refutation of the possibility of a kind and loving world, a denial of the divine spark within. So I set off on a journey of what? Transformation. And on my journey, there were many people along the way who helped me forward. Many who showed me the next step when I did not know the path, who held me in uncertain times. And many of those beloved people are here now or will be here today to celebrate this moment of ordination. But if there was a master, a Maestri Valdemar in my story, then it must be Reverend John Cresswell. He has to sit through this twice. See, I showed up on John's doorstep a hot mess in a good suit. He knows this. I was trying to be everything to everybody, scared to say no because I didn't know if I was going to get another opportunity. I was scatterbrained and I was spread thin. I was pulled between the life that I knew and yet undefined hope for what could be. John learned and knew where I came from, what I used to be. He had every reason to say no. Protect his reputation, to protect his church, his success. Unknown quantity walking in here. Who is this guy? Yet he opened the door and said, come in. Let me teach you something. Let me teach you how to sing. He insisted that I sing and to preach and to lead because I see the makings of a minister in you. He said, come in. And as amazing as that generosity was, it would have been nothing without you and this beloved community. There is no Reverend Ryan without the Unitarian Universalist Church of Annapolis. You were my academy. You were my Hoda. You were my sacred circle. You accepted this unknown young man with a complicated past. You let me sing. You let me walk. You let me lead. You let me grow. You let me to support and be supported. You all did that. Every member of this church made my transformation possible. See, change is a fact of existence, but transformation, that takes more. It takes commitment, faith, and community. And I am beginning to believe that that is what church is all about creating and sustaining a space of holy transformation, where those who feel sick can get some healing, where those who are stuck can get unstuck, where we can raise a holy mirror to ourselves and to society to truly perceive what we are and what we could be. It's easy to imagine a world where José Nascimento's story ends in that jail or lost in the margins of society, but his mentor saw him, perceived him, and his community uplifted him, and he was transformed. And that transformed man, McCray Traíra, went on to leave his mark on capoeira forever. And what was this mark? What was this thing of legend? Was it his physical ability, some violent flair from his past that made him the superior of others? No. Those stories of the day say that he was the physical equal of all the fighters and masters of Salvador Bahia. Yet the legacy of McCray Traíra is not of violence or combat or movement. McCray Traíra, the legend, the fighter, the convict, the man from Cachoeira, is most known today for his singing. See, he would sing, "Quando eu morrer, não quero grito nem mistério. Quando eu morrer, não quero grito nem mistério. Quero berimbau tocando na porta do cemitério. When I die, I don't want no shouting, and I don't want no mystery. I want berimbau playing at the gate of the cemetery." See, he would sing, "Ave Maria, Mãe de Deus, cheguei na igreja, me confessei. Ave Maria, Mãe de Deus, cheguei na igreja e ajoelhei." Mary, Mother of God, I have arrived at the church to confess. I have arrived at the church to kneel. Now, you don't have to be Christian to hear in Traíra's voice, the voice of a person who knew how deep the well went and how hard it is to climb back out. To hear in his voice the hope of arriving at the steps of a beloved community. To hear in his voice the testimony of transformation. And like Traíra, we all have something unique to bring to the world, not despite our flaws or past deeds or what we once were, but perhaps because of those things. We are all capable of transformation. May we seek it. May we sustain it for ourselves and others. And may this beloved community remain a space of beloved and sacred transformation. Blessed be. Ashe. Amen.